Hey, well, I'm excited to talk about the future of food storage. I'm here with Stacie Thompson, a co-founder of Ovie.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about your product and talk a little bit about how this evolution path is going for how people manage and store the food, because I think it's a really interesting conversation, especially as we become more conscious of things like food waste and trying not to just throw meat in the garbage, which I personally struggle with, right? Like I don't like throwing meat away.
Because you're a person, everybody struggles with it.
Yes, I'm a person. So first of all, tell us a little bit about what Ovie is.
Sure. Ovie is our company. We make smarterware, which is connected food storage that helps you keep tabs on the food that you have in your fridge. It's a smart tagging system that has a hardware component to it that you can physically tag things, and then it goes into a digital fridge in your phone, so you can keep track of it from anywhere.
And it also has Alexa compatibility, so instead of like typing stuff in, you actually can just speak, I have lettuce or something, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it works with Alexa right now. We're actually developing it for Google as well, so when we launch, we'll have both of those. If you aren't voice enabled, you can type it in if you want to, but we're trying to get rid of all of those things that are just a pain to do when you're in your kitchen and cooking already. We're trying to really make it simple for people.
Yeah, and I think it's important to bring Alexa up, because the thing about technology like this is it can be really cumbersome, and like we talked a little bit earlier about food logging, like these food logging apps, which not a lot of people use because it's work. Like I don't have to like journal my food, and I don't want to log in the fact I bought meat. So like creating or eliminating points of friction is important. So I think Alexa compatibility is really important, and that's a really important step there.
Yeah, that, and when you talk about food logging, I think there's this really interesting juxtaposition where a lot of companies are trying to solve for, let me keep track of everything. I'm going to like scan your grocery list and throw all of that stuff into an app. You know what I don't need to keep track of? The gum I bought on my grocery list. You know, there's certain things in your life that you're going to lose track of just by nature of what you're doing. Things that you've bought, a thing of celery, you used half of it, and that half you made good use of, and then it's the other half that goes into your fridge, and that's the thing you're going to lose track of. That's the thing that's going to go bad. So it's really not everything that you need to keep tabs on. It's the things that are, have a limited lifespan.
Exactly. That cost money. Who here has ever thrown food away? If you don't raise your hand, you're lying.
Yeah, we know you're lying.
I'm just trying to be more conscious of it. But even when you're trying your hardest, you can't do that. So I want to talk a little bit about you probably study the way people manage their food.
Yeah.
So do you have any idea of how much food the average person throws away, or any kind of idea how much food we're wasting?
It's really shocking. The NRDC actually is one of the ones that we keep track of and look to, because they're doing a great job of tracking this and bringing it to light. But Americans throw away 40% of the food they bring home. That's like taking 5 bags of groceries, coming home, and just being like, oh, these 2? Yeah. Done. I mean, you don't intend to do it. There's just not an easy way right now to keep track of it.
And I think some of the food solutions or technology solutions I've seen on the market early on were things like smart fridges. Yeah. Like I think LG has one, or and so some of it's it's too much work. Then some of it's also the technology's not there yet, right? Like they're trying to use image recognition or food recognition with cameras, and it's just not quite there yet. So
it's just not quite easy enough.
It's not easy enough, so it doesn't solve for that problem. And you guys have this solution. You guys, if you haven't checked it out, you guys should go check out Ovie. You guys are right around the corner. It is pretty easy, and really it's I've called it tile for food. I actually use tile because I lose everything. Yeah. I lose my keys all the time. So this just made sense to me. It's just a nice tracking system for food. Yeah.
So it's really simple to use. There is a little smart tag. We have containers that it goes in the container. We call that one of our accessories. There's clips for produce. So if you had a bag of spinach, used half a bag of spinach, then you're already putting a clip on it. Put a smart clip on it with a tag. Or a little sticker that can click on anything that you've got, so we can convert any storage container, any takeout container, dressings, dips, that sort of thing, into a smart container. So you just push that button, you say, Alexa, tell Ovie this is hummus. That's what we're tracking over here, because I lose track of that one. And she will pull from a database how long that'll be good. And we'll assign that in your app, and you can have your app out of the way. You don't even have to have it there. So everything is done just in the verbal space. Then it's a green light on your hummus at that point. After half the duration goes by, you're going to get a notification on your app, and it's going to turn yellow in your fridge. So you've got this physical thing when you open your fridge and you see the lights light up, and you go, oh, the yellow stuff I need to prioritize, or it's going to go bad. And then I can be at work, which is what I'm really excited about, get a notification that something in my fridge is going to go bad, that I'm going to lose it if I don't use it. And we're going to offer recipe suggestions cross-referencing those things. So if I've got some hummus in there and some feta and some spinach, it's going to have Mediterranean wraps or a salad, something like that. And because I love tech, I'm going to then say order on Instacart the other things that I need, and I'm going to have that delivered to my house before I get home. And then I can make a successful meal and use up those things, the ingredients, and actually be really good at life. You know, it's all about making me feel successful.
Yeah, actually, so much of what I make for dinner is driven by what's going bad in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm making tacos because this ground beef's been staring at me for the last 2 weeks.
We joke about tacos a lot,
yeah.
that being the thing. Like, we're just going to put all of it together and offer a new kind of taco.
Or spaghetti or something like that. So I think that's interesting. So the idea of kind of creating and offering recipe suggestions based on that, is that kind of a capability that will be there at launch and within the app? Okay.
It is. It's already built in. We've already got it developed right now. We're constantly updating and adding new recipes to it, but we think that's really important because there's really two ways or two reasons that people waste food that we've found most prevalent. One is you forget about it. I put it in there, it's got lost behind something else in the fridge, and it's just out of my mind space. The other is that I have no idea what to do with it. Like I said celery earlier, you've used half of the celery because you knew you needed it in the recipe. Now I've got celery just going bad in my fridge because I couldn't care less, don't know what to do with celery. So this is going to help you with those things. So we think the recipes are really key to helping people take care of and use all their food and be good stewards of it.
A little bit about the technology for people who are curious.
Sure.
Can you talk about it? It's Bluetooth-based system, right?
Yeah, it's Bluetooth-based system. All of the Bluetooths go to a hub. The hub is about this big, and it plugs into the wall behind your fridge, behind your toaster. Forget about it. You don't need to do anything with it. That's going to convert and speak to our cloud. So that's a Wi-Fi based. So our Bluetooths go to that Wi-Fi, and that sends it to the cloud.
Okay, so Bluetooth in from the sensors, Wi-Fi out to the cloud. And it's going to be
to your phone.
And it's available. You're shipping this year in terms of like price points. How much does it generally set you back?
Yeah, so there's we've got 5 different kit sizes right now because we do believe that everybody's food journey is different. Everybody's preferences are different and needs, and so our smallest kit just has 3 of the tags. All of our tags are sold with a little sticker that can put it on anything. That one starts at $85, or that one's $85. The largest one we have is a family starter kit. It has 3 bowls, 6 clips, and 9 of the tags, and that retails for $300. And then there's a couple in between. All of the stuff's on our website at ovie.life.
So I imagine you've given this some thought, and without kind of ripping on existing food storage people or companies,
sure.
What is taking so long for them to kind of get beyond the typical Tupperware kind of stuff that basically allows us to allow food go bad? Like, why haven't they modernized yet? Is there something holding them back, or they're just kind of resting on their laurels?
I honestly think that this is something, it's so funny. People are like, why hasn't anybody thought of this before? Right. I think it's because it's just been not a priority for people yet. And as food awareness has gotten better, more people are cooking, so they're storing, and people are just more mindful of the fact that the feeling of failure. I think that's part of it. Also, smart tech hasn't been that prevalent for that long, right? So there have been a lot of innovations in the kitchen space and the whole home space. And food storage was boring before. It's a need, and we're addressing a need, but it's not a shiny thing to be talking about, like, oh, it's connected food storage. It's not like the latest iPhone, the coolest app, the newest coffee maker that you can like sit in bed and start. It's not one of those things where you're going to go off and talk about it to your friends. I've reinvented
I bet you
food
guys.
storage.
I bet you do. I
love it, but sorry.
Like, oh, great, food storage again.
Yeah. Oh,
so
we're talking about food storage. Okay.
Are you considering partnerships with chefs or services like Yumly or other?
Yeah, actually, we've been in some talks with some recipe providers, such as that. We've got some discussions that are being had. We're absolutely open to doing something like that. We think actually having influencers like chefs is one of the ways that we're really going to connect the dots for people. It is a new category, so there's a lot of education that goes into, like, why do I need this? How do I use this? So we believe that getting in the hands of people who are really getting ahead of it, who are those mouthpieces, are how we're going to be successful and connect. And then recipes, we're really open to expanding our database at any point. We think it's huge for success of our consumers. And really what we care about is that you be successful as a consumer and you feel good about what we're giving you. And so we're going to continue to optimize and just make that a better experience for you.
you're doing research and possibly showing to the consumer for the price points like the $300 pack, how it's actually returning the money back through savings, yeah.
Sure. The average family throws away about $2,000 a year in food that's gone bad. That's a statistic that a lot of companies are talking about, and that's really true. One of the things that we have really uncovered and think is compelling is not just that. Like, we can say, yeah, we can help you, work against that $2,000 for our $300, but the bottom line is it's not just $2,000 you're throwing away. That's the value of the food that you're throwing out. That's not talking about replacement costs of I ate out instead of doing that. So instead of eating the leftovers, I went to dinner and I spent $30 on dinner. So now those totals really add up, and that turns into maybe it's $4,000 a year for a family. So, I think there's something that's really interesting and compelling about how much this can actually save you. And I think people, as they're starting to use it, we're quantifying that for you to go, hey, here's how much, this is how much you're going to be saving. So, yeah, it's a really, really good point. Origin story behind it, it actually started with leftovers. It started with Ty having this moment of, he made this amazing meal. It's a meal that had been stored that he was really excited about eating, and then came home after a work trip 6 days later and was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to eat that. And he ended up throwing it away. And it's just that you just feel like a failure. And it started with, what if there were just lights on these things so that I knew if it was good, or I knew it was bad, or I knew when it was put in there. And it's really evolved from there to be something that's addressing a lot more than that, but it started with leftovers.
When was the original kind of aha moment? When did you guys think of this? And so a couple years back, it's been a couple years?
Yeah, it was maybe 2014,
okay.
2015, yeah. It's been a while. We didn't really start working on it until 2017. That's when Ty and Dave both started working full-time. They quit their other jobs and they decided this was the thing they were going to do, and I work on it part-time.
Yeah, and I think the timing just seems right, because I think, like you said, there's this confluence of events where we're having a bigger consciousness, more of a consciousness about food waste. The technology is really there. Alexa and Google Home making it super friction-free, I think is really important, rather than having to type in the type of food that you're having.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, because there was kind of a false start, we feel like, 8 or 9 years ago with smart home, and where there were some things out there, but they weren't fully connected, and Alexa and Google have really done a great job of making this an ecosystem where everybody can kind of play together. I think that's where we're starting to see those the lives of consumers get made better by technology, instead of being like, oh, I gotta download another app and connect another thing and just add noise to your life. They're really starting to make your life easier, which I think is really where the future is.
Have you guys, I don't know if you would think about a non-consumer kind of scenarios or use cases, maybe who's left their food in the fridge at work, right? But maybe even professional types of bistros, or someone that wants to manage their food inventory. Have you guys given that some thought? We have.
We've been talking to some commercial kitchens actually about trying to solve their problems. Their problems are slightly unique, but it's a very similar system that can help solve this. And so actually in our innovation, we're looking at that as being some of the next things that we're doing.
What channels are you thinking about as you guys go into market?
Yeah, the first that we're doing, we're going to start with our website, and we're starting with influencers and things like that. That's as we're getting off the ground. We're brand new. We're a startup. So we want to make sure that all of that's working really, really well, and that we're getting to hear direct feedback. The next stage, we're looking at both retailers such as yourselves, where you are providing a consumer experience and educating. Those are the kinds of things and the kinds of retailers we're really interested in. Not to say that we're not at some point down the road going to want to be in the bigger retailers, but it's really the retailers that are going to help tell our story, because otherwise, I've dealt in connected, I've helped with a lot of connected home things on my marketing world. And one of the challenges we always face is, how do we tell this tech story in Home Depot? How do we tell this tech story at Target? And you don't have a customer's full attention. You're trying to tell a lot of things and do a lot on packaging, and that's just not going to be helpful, and you're not going to make that aha moment connection. You really need people talking about it. So a retailer like Beta is a really great place to be. So we're looking for that, and just other people to help tell our story.
Yeah, it seems like it's one of those things, if you see it, get your hands on it, and experience it does make a big difference.
It's really funny. We love being at shows like this, because you see that it's going to be connected food storage. Tell me about that. And then you you walk them through the experience, and you say, well, you do this, and you do this, and that's it. And they
you
go,
see the skepticism
you
melt
see that
away.
and they're like, oh my gosh, how can I get that? When can I have it? So it's really a great like proof of concept for us too, to just hear talk about it, because we're all, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're at a trade show. I mean, we're all consumers. We all have refrigerators and eat and throw food away and want to be better at life, and that's really what we're hoping to solve.
You made me feel so much better about myself. I'm not the only one just wasting.
You're not the only one. We're all.